Meet Delphie. When she first came to me, I had so many big dreams for us. I pictured us carrying on from where I'd left off with Mole, knowing I was going to have to educate her, but it was going to be an easier road due to her temperament and attitude. But the reality of the last few years has looked slightly different to what I'd hoped for. Our journey has been a rollercoaster to say the least, with yard moves, signs of discomfort, and trying to understand whether it is pain or brain has been a challenge for us and not a straightforward path, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. However, I have learnt so much with this horse and feel like she's brought to me for this reason. I'm not 100% sure if we're out of the woods yet, but only time will tell. Delphie arrived with us as a 3-year-old in November 2022. It all started with so much hope. When I first brought her home, those early days were filled with the excitement of getting to know each other and building a future together. It felt like we had all the time in the world. She settled in really well and was just a pleasure to be around. Right from the beginning, I had Kelly, my horsemanship teacher, who you may have seen in my shorts, come and work with us because I wanted to put the right boundaries in place. We hacked her out and she was just such a confident, cool horse. We had lessons, she travelled well, and honestly, it was just easy. But because, again, we didn't have a menage at home, keeping her reduced meant either hacking out on busy roads or trailing her somewhere every single time. To give her the best setup, we decided that moving to a yard with facilities would be a good idea. So in July 2023, we made a move. At first, we kept up our lessons and even went on hacks with friends. But honestly, this new environment was so far out of my comfort zone. And then around September 2023, everything changed. I suddenly started seeing a completely different Delphie. She was pinning her ears and clearly uncomfortable. A friend suggested it could be ulcers, which I didn't even know were a thing back then. We got the physio out to check her. I decided right then that I no longer wanted to stay at that yard. The routine was entirely controlled by the owner, and I knew what Delphie really needed to recover was her friends and as much turnout as possible, so I brought her home. We started her on muscle relaxants for her back, and I began doing daily rehabilitation stretches with her. I also completely stripped things back to basics, taking all the time she needed to just get comfortable with bridling again.
Sitting in the car, listening to Blonde, falling for each other. Pink and orange skies, feeling super childish, no Donald Glover. Missed call from my mother. Like, where you at tonight? Got no alibi, I was all alone.
After a month of rehab, we had her rescoped, and she scoped completely clear. It felt like a massive weight had been lifted. Wanting to continue our journey with proper facilities, I decided to move her to a yard 20 minutes away. It's where Simon Grieve is, and it had incredible facilities. A friend decided to move with me, and best of all, I was promised 24-hour turnout. After being at the last yard, I don't think Delphie even knew what rain was anymore. I truly believe that the closer horses can be to a natural lifestyle, the better they can thrive. So this was November 2023, and believe it or not, within just a single week of moving, the excitement was quickly dulled. Delphie came in from the field with a swollen leg. As I examined her closely, I felt a tiny raised bump right near her fetlock joint. I called the closest vet who examined it and didn't believe there was anything in there. As with movement, the swelling went completely, and advised that if it swelled up again, to get in touch. Knowing how dangerous puncture wounds can be near a joint, I phoned Oakham Vets and they advised me not to wait and to bring her straight into the clinic immediately. So another trip to the vets it was. They took an x-ray and found a thorn. Thankfully, it hadn't penetrated the joint. The vets told me it was unusual to see in everyday horses, it's often hunters. Because of the location, she had to be on strict box rest for around a month, with her leg being completely rebandaged every few days. Desperate for answers, I went out and thoroughly inspected her field. That's when I found black thorn bushes. I have hawthorn in my own fields at home and had never once had an issue, so I didn't even know this kind of thing occurred. During her recovery, I spent hours hand grazing her every single day, and through that quiet time, we bonded on a completely new level. As she healed, we started back with some long lining and slowly brought her back into work, taking all the time she needed to feel confident again. Things were finally on the up. She had settled into the yard so well. we got a brand new saddle properly fitted and we were finally back into our lessons. In April, we even introduced her to cross country and we achieved our very first jumping clinic together. She was incredibly well behaved around all the other horses and I was just so proud of her and how easy she was. It felt like we were moving forward finally. We continued with regular physio and Mini because her body was changing so much. Under saddle, I started noticing she was putting more weight into her left fore. I've always believed in looking at myself as well as the horse, so I invested in rider biomechanic sessions to make sure I wasn't the problem. Together with my physio, we also looked into potential hindgut acidosis and tried her on equestrian. The reality was, we hadn't quite been told the truth when signing up to this new yard. Despite being promised 24-hour turnouts, she was on haylage and stuck inside for long periods of time. I started finding there were days where she'd show clear signs of being uncomfortable, especially when I was brushing around her girth area and her pectorals. It worried me so much and I was constantly trying to figure it out. Was it a dominance over food? Was it active pain or was it just remembered pain from her previous ulcers? I couldn't work it out and I felt so torn. Ultimately, I knew my best option was to just get total clarity. So around late 2024, I sent her back to the vets for another ulcer scope. Thankfully, the scope came back completely clear. They also checked her back, which was fine, and even scanned her ovaries to see if that was causing behaviour, which all came back perfectly healthy. However, they did a full lameness check and found she was tracking lame in her front feet. They took x-rays and discovered side bone in her left fore. At that stage, the vets felt confident that she just needed front shoes to support her. So that is exactly what we did. She had them on prior to her thorn removal operation, but as we were on sand mostly, I never put them back on after this. 2 weeks later, we took her back to the clinic to be reassessed. The vets were really happy and confirmed that front shoes were exactly what she needed. They did, however, mention her right hind leg. They said there was something very minor showing up there, but advised me to just continue with the rehab work I was doing and bring her back in a year's time to check on it. So we headed home feeling like we finally had a plan. With the plan in place, we continued on with clinics, lessons, groundwork and pole work. Life was busy, as I was also planning a wedding, and in July 2025, my fiance and I officially tied the knot. But only 3 weeks later, the horse world brought me right back down to earth. Unfortunately, Delphie had a spook on a hack. I fell off and I broke my ankle quite badly. Suddenly, I was entirely out of the picture. For months, I was stuck on my settee with my leg elevated, relying completely on the incredible support of my husband, dad, instructor, yard friends and my friend's son to keep her going. She was ridden until October and then I made a big decision. I brought her home. There was no point paying for premium facilities when I couldn't ride, and more than anything, I wanted the freedom to finally give her the 24-hour turnout I'd always dreamed of. At the start of 2026, I was finally back in action. Delphie had her first physio session with Donna Blunman, who looks at horses completely holistically. She mapped out Delphie's sore points and suggested a microbiome test, suspecting her hindgut might be the root cause of the struggles we faced in the past. Then came March, and I got the best news in the world. I was cleared to ride again. After a thorough saddle check, I finally got back on and she felt incredible. With Delphie turning 7 this year, I decided we could do it all straight from the field. We started building back up, managed our very first hack since my accident, and I was just so deeply proud of us. I felt so good and truly thought, this is our time now. Delphie felt great under saddle, she was starting to work properly, and for the first time she felt like a real horse underneath me rather than a weak youngster. But in the true horse world fashion, it didn't last long. She started to feel less willing to go forward. Because she'd lost weight within the increase in work, I knew her saddle, which had just been adjusted in February, needed looking at again, as she's so sensitive to it. but I also felt there was more to it, so I sent a video to Donna. Her response confirmed my instincts. We needed to get her right hind looked at. So on the 24th of June, I took her back to the vets. I was incredibly anxious. The initial assessment showed stiffness in her hind end and swollen stifles, which sent me down a terrifying Google rabbit hole of life-changing diagnosis. But then the call came. The x-rays and ultrasound showed some information, but structurally, her stifles were absolutely perfect. No genetic issues, nothing broken. Her back and hocks are completely clear too. I was over the moon. The vet explained that as a young horse increases their workload, stifle soreness can cause back soreness and vice versa. It was a classic puzzle, but one we could solve. She received steroid and hyaluronic acid injections to clear the discomfort, and because I'd stopped riding early, her saddle still fit perfectly. After a brief day of box rest at home, we were cleared to carry on as normal. We'd been peacefully plodding around the field and even conquered another hack right past the place I broke my ankle. We still have a journey ahead, but we are moving forward together towards a happy, healthy and comfortable Delphie. For now, our only plan is to take things slow, rebuild her strength and enjoy every single moment of being back in the saddle. I hope you enjoyed watching our journey. See you next time.